Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show on Twitter and Blue Sky at Cup of Joe Pod. Email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. And folks, we are back as today we take a look at Night of Champions 2009 from the WWE. Night of Champions 2009 was shown on pay-per-view on July the 26th, 2009 from the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There were 17,774 in attendance, and the show did 267,000 buys. We start out with our intro. Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler welcome us to Night of Champions. Unified Tag Team Championship match. Edge had torn his Achilles tendon, and Chris Jericho was allowed to pick up a new partner. So Chris Jericho and The Big Show versus Legacy, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. Jericho comes out alone. He grabs the mic. They show Edge's injury and surgery. He promises that he will be back. He says when he comes back, he's going to prove everyone wrong. Jericho then says it was wrong to choose Edge. He says it was selfish for Edge to leave him high and dry. He says he has picked a worthy partner and then brings out The Big Show. The belts are presented. The bell rings. Big Show and Rhodes start. Big Show stalks Rhodes. He chops Rhodes. He throws Rhodes across the ring. DiBiase tagged in and Big Show hits him with a shoulder block. He beats DiBiase down in the corner. Jericho tagged in. He hits a back elbow. Big Show tagged back in and beats DiBiase down. They do some quick tags and keep the assault up on DiBiase. DiBiase kicks out at 2. Rhodes tagged in. Jericho gets a roll up for a 2 count. Rhodes tries to avoid the attack. Jericho goes back to the attack. But DiBiase holds down the bottom rope and Jericho falls out. DiBiase attacks Jericho on the outside. Rhodes throws Jericho back in. Legacy now does some quick tagging to keep Jericho down. Double team and a 2 count on Jericho by DiBiase. A Y2J chant goes out. Rhodes with a snapmare to Jericho. Back and forth. Rhodes beats Jericho on the apron. DiBiase tagged in. More double teaming on Jericho. Jericho avoids a corner charge by Rhodes. Rhodes hits a moonsault for a close 2 count. Jericho comes back with an enziguri. Both men are down. DiBiase tagged in and cuts Jericho off from tagging. Jericho gets a roll up for a 2 count. DiBiase with a power slam for a 2 count. DiBiase with an arm drag and a kick for a 2 count. Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho, but DiBiase fights it. DiBiase goes for Dream Street and Jericho counters with a drop toe hold. Jericho gets the walls of Jericho on. Rhodes goads Big Show in to distract the referee and hits Jericho with a DDT. DiBiase gets a 2 count. DiBiase hits Jericho with an Irish whip and a drop kick, but Big Show had tagged in. He grabs Rhodes and DiBiase by the throat. They fight out, but Big Show hits DiBiase with a spear. Rhodes makes the save on the cover. Legacy gets Big Show down with a double team, but Jericho hits DiBiase with a code breaker. Big Show gets the colossal clutch on, and DiBiase taps out. Josh Matthews interviews CM Punk about Jeff Hardy. Punk asks the audience if after everything he has said, are they still behind Jeff Hardy? A Hardy chant goes out. Punk goes out in the crowd and asks the fans to stand up if they support Jeff Hardy. He says he blames their parents or parent because it's a single parent situation, just like the way Jeff Hardy grew up. He runs down Hardy and the crowd. He says he is the future of a straight-edge, drug-free America. We get a Don't Try This at Home ad. ECW Championship match. Tommy Dreamer versus Christian. Dreamer out first as Josh Matthews and Matt Striker talk about Tommy Dreamer being the last ECW original. Christian out to a great ovation. The bell rings and they circle each other. They slap each other. Dreamer goes for a quick cover. Christian comes back with a spin heel kick. Back and forth. Christian with some hard shots and Dreamer rolls out to the apron. He hits Christian in the midsection. They battle. Christian drop kicks Dreamer into the announce desk, but misses a plancha when Dreamer moves. Dreamer cannonballs Christian from the apron. Dreamer gets a 2 count. Christian comes back with some stiff shots. Dreamer fights off a kill switch attempt. Christian puts the sleeper on, and Dreamer counters with a flat back bump to break the hold. Christian goes back to the sleeper. Dreamer goes through the ropes, and they both fall out to break the hold, both in at 9. They trade moves. Dreamer gets a 2 count. Christian put into the Tree of Woe, and Dreamer baseball slides into him. Dreamer hits Sky High for a 2 count. Christian counters a pump handle slam for a 2 count. Christian with a missile drop kick. Dreamer comes back with a cloverleaf. Christian breaks and Dreamer catapults him into a turnbuckle. They exchange moves and counters. Christian with another missile drop kick. Christian hits the kill switch to get the pin and become the new ECW champion. He celebrates in the ring. Dreamer offers his hand and they embrace. Todd Grisham talks to Chris Jericho and the Big Show. Big Show says they aren't friends. This is business. Jericho says it was best for business for him to pick Big Show. Big Show says they will be the most dominant team. And Jericho says, thank you, Edge, for making all of this possible. 6-pack challenge for the United States Championship. Jack Swagger, Carlito, The Miz, Primo, MVP, and Kofi Kingston are your participants. Kingston is the current U.S. champion. The bell rings and they all start after each other. A lot of quick covers and saves. They start to pair off. Each wrestler gets their opportunity to shine. Everyone is saving each other from pin attempts. Swagger whips MVP hard into a barricade. Carlito with a springboard to MVP. Kingston with a missile drop kick and a leg drop to Swagger. Swagger, Kingston, Primo, and Miz up top, and Swagger helps suplex Miz off. They all hit hard to the mat. Near fall after near fall. They start to pair off again. More near falls. Swagger double clotheslines the Colognes. MVP hits Swagger with a knee and an elbow. MVP goes to hit the Playmaker on Swagger, and Miz hits the skull-crushing finale on MVP for a close count. Carlito hits the backstabber on Primo, and then Kingston hits Carlito with Trouble in Paradise to pin Carlito and retain the U.S. title. Kingston then celebrates. Josh Matthews interviews Randy Orton. He says what happened to Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes was unfair, and he can't predict what happens in a triple threat. He's counting on the egos of his two opponents to cancel each other out, which means he wins. He says maybe one day the people will stop disrespecting him and he will remain WWE champion. WWE Women's Championship match. Michelle McCool versus Melina. McCool out first. They show Melina throw makeup on McCool on SmackDown. Melina out to a great ovation. She goes to do her ring entrance and McCool attacks her. The bell rings and Melina attacks McCool. McCool bails out, but Melina gets her back. Melina begs off. Melina with a spin kick. McCool comes back and ducks a running knee attack, and Melina falls out. Then a running knee by McCool sends Melina into the barricade. McCool throws her back in and gets a 2 count. She gets another close count and gets a single crab on. Melina battles to get to the ropes. She does, but McCool ties her into the ropes. Melina falls out. McCool goes for a running kick to Melina, who moves, and McCool hits the barricade. They fight on the barricade, and McCool DDTs Melina on the top of the barricade. They fight on the apron, and Melina uses a leg vice to force McCool into the barricade repeatedly. She then dives on McCool on the outside after moving on a baseball slide by McCool. Melina hits a modified leapfrog by the guillotine to McCool. Melina beats McCool in the corner. Melina with a spin heel kick for a 2 count. McCool with a belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. Melina with a takedown. McCool reverses it to get the pin and retain the women's championship. Melina looks frustrated as McCool leaves with the belt. John Cena is shown in the back. Flashback to what led to the next match. WWE Championship Triple Threat match. Randy Orton versus Triple H versus John Cena. Cena out to a massive ovation. Triple H out next and also gets a massive ovation. It may be even bigger than Cena's. He comes out looking intense. He does his water spitting entrance. It takes a while for Orton to come out. He takes his time getting to the ring and he looks confident. He looks at both Cena and Triple H as he gets in. The introductions are made and the belt is presented. The bell rings. All three are wary. Orton slithers out of the ring. Cena and Triple H then bail out after Orton. All three get back in. Triple H attacks Orton. He goes out and Cena clotheslines him. Triple H beats Orton down in the corner. Triple H and Cena double team to take Orton down. Orton rolls out again and Cena and Triple H follow. Orton gets in the ring and runs and knocks Cena from the apron into Triple H on the floor. Orton comes out again and grabs Cena. He beats Cena down in the ring as a Cena chant goes out. Orton stomps Cena. Cena comes back. He slams Orton. You can't see me. 5-knuckle shuffle. He goes for the AA. But Triple H cuts him off and runs Cena into a ring post. Orton hits Triple H with a clothesline for a 2 count. Orton stomps Triple H down in the corner. Orton hits a drop kick for another 2 count. Orton with a reverse chin lock. Triple H comes back. They trade blows. Orton hits a scoop slam. He goes into his Viper routine. Triple H pushes off an RKO attempt and hits a DDT. Cena then hits a sloppy-looking guillotine leg drop on both men. Cena battles Orton, who retaliates with an over-the-back neck breaker. Cena falls outside. Triple H goes for the pedigree on Orton, who backdrops Triple H outside to counter. Cena tries to get back in, and Orton kicks him. He then sets up Cena and Triple H for draping DDTs. Triple H and Cena counter by backdropping Orton out. Cena and Triple H just stare at each other. They get face-to-face. They trade blows. Cena with some shoulder blocks. Triple H comes back with a high knee and a knee drop. Cena comes back with a modified blockbuster. Triple H counters an AA attempt by going for the pedigree, but Cena counters that by going for the STF. Triple H kicks off the attempt. Cena again goes for the AA only to get hit with a spine buster by Triple H. Triple H hits the pedigree. He goes to cover, but Orton pulls him out of the ring on the 2 count. He beats Triple H down and runs him into the ring steps. He takes the SmackDown table apart and puts Triple H on it. Triple H counters and goes for the pedigree. Cena comes in and stops him. He gets rid of Orton and puts Triple H in the STF on the table. Orton comes back and attacks Cena. Orton throws Cena in. They trade blows. Orton gets Cena down. Cena pushes an RKO attempt off. Cena puts Orton up on the turnbuckle. Triple H gets in and grabs Cena. They tussle. Triple H goes for a pedigree. Cena reverses and slingshots Triple H into Orton on the turnbuckle, and Orton falls and crotches himself. Cena goes for the STF on Triple H and gets it on. Triple H fights it. Cena pulls Triple H back to the center of the ring and reapplies the hold as Orton finally gets free. He goes to punt Cena, who avoids it and rolls Orton up. He gets a 2 count and Orton clotheslines Cena. Orton stomps Cena and Triple H. He drops knees and stomps on both men. Triple H avoids a knee drop and Cena takes out the other knee. Cena slams Orton. You can't see me, but Triple H pulls down the ropes as Cena was going for the 5-knuckle shuffle and Cena falls outside. Triple H gets the sharpshooter on Orton. Orton fights it and tries to get to the ropes. Triple H pulls Orton back to the center of the ring, and Cena comes in and puts the crossface on Orton at the same time. Orton taps, but who is he tapping out to? The referee doesn't know, so he can't ring the bell. Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase hit the ring and attack Triple H and Cena. They get both down. Rhodes checks on Orton. Cena goes to AA Rhodes, only to get hit with an RKO by Orton. He then pins Cena to retain the title. Triple H gets up and looks pissed. They replay what happened. The Miz tells Maurice that he is looking forward to watching her match. He goes for a kiss, but she tells him she doesn't want to be seen with a loser, since he didn't win the U.S. Championship. He asks her who she thinks she is. He calls her a tease and tells her she will beg to be with him. Safe to say that everything worked out for Miz in the end. Chili from TLC is shown in the crowd. Divas Championship match. Maurice versus Mickie James. Flashback to what led to the match. James outbursts to a great reaction. Maurice out to virtually no reaction. She throws her rap at James. The referee separates them to get the match started. The bell rings and they circle each other. James with the early advantage. She gets a side headlock takeover on Maurice. She chokes Maurice on the ropes for a 4 count. James with a roll up and a bridge for a 2 count. Maurice comes back and forth. James gets a 2 count. Maurice with a big kick to James on the apron, and James falls to the floor. James is in on the 8 count. She tries to battle back. They have moves and counters for each other. Maurice with a camel clutch, and then rubs James's face into the mat. She throws James out of the ring again. She puts James back in and grabs a can of hairspray from under the ring. James hits her with a kick that knocks Maurice out to the floor and grabs the spray. The referee grabs it from her, though. James avoids an attack by Maurice and hits the Thez press to Maurice on the outside. James runs Maurice into the apron. She misses a top rope move when Maurice moves. Maurice goes back to the clutch. James up and hits a flat back bump to break the hold. They trade shots. James with a forearm and a hip toss. Shits a neck breaker for a 2 count. James with a head scissors. Maurice counters for a 2 count. Maurice slams James off the top rope. James comes back with a DDT to win and become the new Divas champion. She then celebrates. Josh Matthews talks to Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. They say that Randy Orton won and Triple H and John Cena lost, and that they have a great sense of accomplishment, and they are cementing their legacy. Feature on Rey Mysterio and what led to his match with Dolph Ziggler. Intercontinental Championship match. Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler out first. He comes out with Maria. He seats her at ringside. Mysterio out to a great ovation. The belt is presented and the bell rings. They lock up and drive to a corner and break. Ziggler with a drop kick and a cover. Mysterio out immediately. Mysterio with a roll up for a 1 count. Ziggler with a side headlock. Mysterio pushes off. Ziggler with a shoulder block for a 1 count. Ziggler goes back to the side headlock. Back and forth. Ziggler with a buckle bomb for a 2 count. Ziggler stomps Mysterio. He follows it up with some corner whips. He gets another 2 count. Ziggler goes back to the side headlock. Mysterio fights to get out, and he does. Mysterio with a head scissors to Ziggler to run him into a corner post. Mysterio with a springboard leg drop and a crossbody for a 2 count. Ziggler counters with a power slam for a 2 count. Mysterio dumps Ziggler out. He springboards onto Ziggler from the apron. He goes up top, but gets caught. Mysterio counters a powerbomb attempt into a head scissors. He goes for the 619. Ziggler avoids it and throws Mysterio out of the ring. He punishes Mysterio and gets a 2 count. He gets Mysterio in a full Nelson. Mysterio breaks up the hold. Ziggler comes back and gets a 2 count. Back and forth. Ziggler goes back to the full Nelson. He wears Mysterio down. They trade close counts. Ziggler hits a modified jawbreaker for a 2 count. Ziggler beats Mysterio down in a corner. Mysterio with a drop toe hold. Ziggler hits Mysterio with a drop kick as Mysterio was coming off for a close 2 count. Mysterio drives Ziggler into a turnbuckle as Ziggler rushes Mysterio. Ziggler with a top rope gut buster for another close 2 count. Back and forth. Mysterio hits an enziguri in the 619. He follows up with a springboard splash to get the pin. Maria looks pissed at ringside. Flashback to what led to the main event, World Heavyweight Championship match, CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy. Punk out first despite being the champion. Even JR makes mention of it. The crowd boos and he encourages it. Hardy out to a massive ovation. The introductions are made and the belt is presented. The bell rings and the Hardy chant goes out. Punk with some kicks to begin. They circle each other. Punk with a side headlock. Punk with some chain wrestling. More circling. Punk goes back to the side headlock. Hardy pushes off. Punk with a shoulder block. Back and forth. They trade moves and counters. Punk with a rear chin lock. Hardy comes back and goes for a dive, but Hardy falls out when Punk ducks. Punk goes for a tope, but Hardy moves and Punk hits the barricade. Hardy gets Punk in and gets a 2 count. Hardy with a neck breaker. Hardy goes up top. Punk rolls out. Hardy goes for a dive and Punk moves and Hardy hits the barricade. Hardy gets in on the 9 count. Punk gets a 1 count. Punk kicks Hardy repeatedly and gets another 2 count. He follows it up with a bow and arrow. Hardy counters and Punk with a kick to the ribs. Punk puts Hardy on the top rope. Hardy counters with a modified Falcon Arrow to Punk off the top rope. They trade shots. Hardy with a barrage of offense for a 2 count. He runs Punk into a turnbuckle and goes for the Whisper in the Wind, but Punk pushes Hardy, who crouches himself on the top rope. Punk hits the running knee, but Hardy pushes off a bulldog attempt and hits the Whisper in the Wind. He gets a 2 count. Hardy with a front face slam. Punk moves on the Swanton Bomb attempt. He hits a backbreaker and puts on the Dragon Sleeper. He can't get Hardy to submit. Back and forth, and Hardy hits a Twist of Fate and goes for the Swanton Bomb. Punk gets his knees up and gets a 2 count. Back and forth, and Punk hits the GTS, and Hardy kicks out on 2. He gets more 2 counts. Punk rolls out and grabs his belt. He starts to leave. Hardy grabs him and throws him in. Hardy hits the Twist of Fate and the Swanton Bomb to get the pin and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. He holds the title high and celebrates with the crowd. They highlight the finish and sign off from Philadelphia. Final thoughts. An amazing show. The final match was fantastic and set up the second half of 2009. You can follow me on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram at The Joey Harris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, patreon.com/babykangaroomedia for bonus episodes of the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, the Joey Harris Super Show, the Green Room, the Book Club Baristas, and so much more. Just $5 a month for hours of extra content. And of course, there's also a lot of stuff on there for free. So if you would like to become a patron, patreon.com/babykangaroomedia. You can also support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am on Cash App and Venmo at The Joey Harris if you would like to support the show in another way. Thank you for joining me. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia. We will talk to you next time.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.